from Social Story, and today I have a wonderful and very important guest with me, Dr.M.R. Rajgopal.
Namaste.
He is a Padamshri Awardee, and he has been working within the cause of palliative care in India. So I'm here to talk about the cause and how the journey has been the last 19 years. So to start with, Dr. Rajgopal, I would like to ask you that what was the thought behind this initiative or this cause, how it incepted?
The thought dates back to the time when I was a teenager. I was a medical student and I had this horrendous experience of a neighbor, a cousin, screaming in pain through weeks of agony before he eventually succumbed to cancer. He had, even at that time, he had got chemotherapy, but no pain relief. Eventually, I became an anesthetist and I thought I could relieve people's pain by blocking nerves. And when I had some freedom to do it, which was in my late 30s, I started doing that. A patient, a 42-year-old college professor, gave up his life to teach me a lesson. I had relieved his pain satisfactorily, but I had failed to communicate enough with him. I had failed to see what he felt like, what his anxieties were. He got pain relief, but he killed himself the next day. He taught me that people are more than nerves. People are made up of emotions, suffering, and something beyond the material often. And then I came across the concept of palliative care, which had taken birth in the UK in the 1960s, but which was at that time in its early infancy in India. Then I started treating. I got an opportunity to get trained in palliative care, started doing it. A lot of colleagues gradually gravitated towards the cause because it was something beautiful, you see. A person rolling in pain, a person begging to be killed, next time has breakfast and gives you a smile. It is a beauty of its own. And not doing it certainly is the ugly face of medicine. So when I was working in Calicut Medical College, a few colleagues and I started this activity. It spread. It spread locally, then to the next town, then to the next town, and in a few years, it had grown to be a movement in Kerala. Particularly because from the inception, it was not something started by doctors alone. It was something that started with public involvement. Mr. Rajagopal, a kind-hearted, compassionate human being who had nothing to do with medicine except to go to doctors as a friend or relative of patients. He was one of the people who started the movement, and understandably, a lot of volunteers chipped in, lay people from the community, learning a little bit about it, and then becoming a part of it. Because it was engaging the community and successful, the media gave it attention, and in less than 10 years, it had spread through the northern half of Kerala, a little bit in the southern half also, but mostly in the northern half of Kerala. And there were numerous palliative care centers there. But the rest of the country had very little, a few in metropolitan cities, but nothing else. So some colleagues and I formed Palliative India in 2003 with a vision to improve access to palliative care all through the country. to integrate palliative care into healthcare, we set up this institution in Trivandrum in 2006. Generally, we are trying to improve access by demonstrating quality palliative care here in our institution, by educating as many people as possible, professionals as well as the public, and facilitating favorable government policies, laws, programs, and also by supporting individuals or institutions that want to start palliative care.
So it's very clear that there has been a wonderful impact, not just with respect to the beneficiary, or rather I would say the patient in this case. Also, you are able to bring a change in the policies, invite people to work towards it, involvement of general human beings in this. Now, would you like to throw some light on the challenges which you faced when you started this, and how exactly you overcame those challenges?
The challenges also bring me back to your initial statement about the impact that we have made. Certainly, there has been an impact. When I say we made, I don't mean only Parliament, the palliative care activists in the whole country. There has been an impact. Tell that to about 7 million Indians who are denied palliative care. Go and tell them that we have made an impact. It becomes a joke. Even basic pain relief, leave alone the broader aspect of palliative care, reaches less than 4% of the needy in this country. Of course, the first challenge is that we are a vast country with 1.35 billion population, and generally in our culture change is resisted. Change is not very easy for us. It takes time. We move slowly. Yes, there has been an impact in the sense, in 2014 a law got changed. The law which prevented access to opioid medicines like morphine to a considerable extent, many of the obstacles have been overcome, though not all. In 2012, the government of India brought out a national program for palliative care, through which every state government can get some funds for palliative care from the central government. And better still, in 2017, the National Health Policy now includes palliative care. These don't come to happen naturally. It requires a lot of work to make these things happen, but the palliative care community in the country have been able to make that happen. Equally significantly, from 2019, palliative care is part of undergraduate medical curriculum. So in another 3 years, we would have the beginning of a growing community of young doctors who have learned a bit of palliative care during their studies, and from last year also in the nursing curriculum. These positive things have happened, but translating those policy decisions and policies and programs to actual relief to people in suffering is another matter. For example, in the last year, as part of the National Health Policy, the Government of India created a program to get some palliative care training across to 50,000 family wellness centers, 150,000 healthcare workers, and then we had the privilege of working with that body of Government of India. National level trainers have been trained, state level trainers have been trained. Is that enough? Health is a state subject. Every single of the 29 states and our union territories have to implement it. Here comes the gap. The implementation gap is the next challenge for us to face. The resistance to change also comes from every quarter. To start with, palliative care is very often partly mistakenly associated with end of life. It includes end of life, but it's not only end of life. See, tomorrow, I don't know what I am going to get. Everybody has to have a health issue at some point of time. If it is cancer, this business of palliative care has to be available from the time my pain or breathlessness or whatever is my suffering starts. Why should I suffer for a long time and then get relief only at my deathbed? So palliative care is something that's to be integrated into healthcare, not as a standalone thing for something. But even that's not understood, not even by the public. As I said, it got into the medical curriculum only 2 years back. And generally the professionals and the public have a feeling that it is to do with end of life. And anyway, it's not an auspicious matter to discuss about serious illness. And the human tendency is to avoid thinking about those things. Yeah, beautiful, nice things are great. But then when you come to the bridge, you find yourselves unable to cross it. Anything is possible if you are a bit prepared for that. So the resistance to change on the part of professionals and the public need to be overcome, and that can be overcome only by engaging with them through the media and also by engaging with the professionals through more of awareness and education programs. One other challenge is that for people in pain, I'm talking about something like 1.5 million people with cancer pain in our country. For the vast majority of them, you will need medicines like morphine. Now, this is a double-edged sword. You cannot manage without that in a severe cancer pain or in many other pains also. But it is a drug that is liable for abuse. Used properly, it's a boon. Used with malice or sold with malice and when used to spread an evil in the society as an addictive substance, it has a problem which is being demonstrated for us by countries like USA and Canada. We need a balance. Now this is accepted by law, this is accepted by international consensus that you need a balance between access for this humanitarian cause. But I will never argue for free access where anybody can go and get it. Of course not. The controls are necessary. But control versus access, that balance is essential. We need access to opioids without excess. And that's possible. Just to make sure that you believe what I said, look at Kerala. We have had access to morphine for use now through almost 200 institutions in the country. We have had that for 25 years without a single major scandal of abuse. It's a simple system ensuring documentation, but ensuring that only the required documentation is necessary. And we have made that happen. This has been also demonstrated in all Western European countries for a quarter of a century. Why? In Uganda, a low-income country, through much of it, this has been made possible. So we know how to do it. We only need to open our minds a little bit and not take the stiff attitude of no morphine for my child and no morphine for my father. We see that sometimes because of misunderstanding. So these are some of the challenges. There are many more. But we will have to systematically overcome them. Okay, from practically no access a quarter of a century back, we have come to the state when we can say that maybe about 4% of the population has access to pain relief, if not to all of palliative care. Considering how big a country is, that's not a small achievement. Is that enough? By no means.
Right. That's a wonderful insight, and what I have been able to gather from what you mentioned right now is that the need to change the mindset of people is very, very important right now. It's an important step. Now, coming to the idea of who are the stakeholders, who are the people you would like to be associated in this cause as a support system, as part of the entire support structure. Who are the set of people or who are the set of stakeholders who can be the part of it?
You, including you. Much too often we think of healthcare as something to be given by hospitals, healthcare providers. We know that's not true. When it's a matter of your health, the most important part is you. You feeling that something is good, or why, even take the simple question of you getting some infection and the doctor prescribing an antibiotic. If you know enough, you will take the whole course of antibiotics, because then you would know that it is harmful to take only half of it and stop it when the cough stops. And very often, your neighbor will have a lot of say in what you do eventually. The doctor has given a prescription. The neighbor looks at it and says, oh my God, I took this and then I had such a horrible belly ache. And the person would be scared, they wouldn't take it. We need to remember that health is not only diseases and treatment. Health, as officially defined, is physical, social, and mental well-being. Physical, social, and mental well-being. It cannot be done by doctors and nurses alone. It is something that is done in partnership with the person with the illness, the family, the community around them. And therefore, I'll start by saying that the major stakeholder is the person on the street. Of course, every aspect of healthcare delivery is important. And very often we think only of doctors and nurses. Of course, most certainly, the medical social worker, very important link. The physiotherapist, the pharmacist. Not saying that they are just supportive, playing a supportive role in some corner of a healthcare institution. They are actively involved, they need to be. But there is an important thought which we need to talk about in our country. We all know how much poverty is there in this country. And please don't think I am exaggerating. I have actually come across this. I write a medication to be given 3 times a day after food. And the gentleman smiles and tells me, no, doctor, once a day is enough. If my hackles go up and my medical arrogance comes in, I could get angry. But I know enough to listen to that person. And he said, I get only 1 meal a day. I cannot take it 3 times after food. Do you think I am exaggerating? Even in Kerala, which is one of the affluent states in the country, where at least some official statements are there that there is no significant hunger here. I know that people, when they are ill, go hungry. The families go hungry. The children have to go to bed without food. that happens because of healthcare costs. Uh, there is a global declaration. It's called Astana Declaration, where India was a party to it. It happened in 2018, and they make an obvious statement. For healthcare to be healthcare, and not quoting exactly, the idea is like this. It needs multiple sectors: food, agriculture, transport, education, commerce. All this needs to come together. You don't believe me? Only this last monsoon, our team saw a man with advanced cancer in his home, sitting up with an umbrella. He could not lie down because it was raining through the roof. His thatched roof was not rethatched because they had no money. How absurd would it be if I keep on pushing my medicines on him, which will make him a bit tired and he can't even lie down? You asked about the stakeholders in healthcare. Our volunteers from the community, along with a medical social worker from our team, went across there the next day and they pulled a tarpaulin over the roof, allowing the man to lie down. Healthcare cannot be complete without that kind of activity. If you think this is not doable, come over. We'll see who the stakeholders are. We work with 14 different small organizations in various parts of this district of Trivandrum. And they all have willing volunteers who get together to support people who are in pain or breathless, who cannot afford to go to hospital, who have a roof that's leaking, whose children are being denied education because they have no money. These people look after all of them. But that doesn't mean that the healthcare professionals are not important. Only if the person on the street, the community, and the healthcare professionals work together, then people will get better.
That's a wonderful insight, sir. My last question is that to make it sustainable and scalable, the entire cause, and take it to the bigger set of people across the globe, how do we take that step? Who are the organizations or institutions or individuals who can actually come forward to make it sustainable and scalable?
Now that many other policies and programs in place, our work of facilitation has to grow. If we give quality care within this institution, only about 5,000 patients get benefited. We are talking about 10 million people in suffering. If we are to get them relief, we need to facilitate activities, policies, programs, and promotion of development of palliative care centers and palliative care service of palliative care professionals and communities all over the country. Actually, our team, we have one team dedicated to this. So we have one for the north, one project officer in northeast, one in the north, one in central India, one in south, etc. Now, what they do is to find the institutions or the individuals or the professionals and promote this kind of an activity, both in terms of professional activity and the community activity. So if we are to reach these 10 million people, the mathematicians in our team says, all that you need is to double your impact every year. 10 years, you would have covered everything. That's simple, isn't it? Well, maybe that's not so simple as that, but it's doable. Of course, it needs resources. we need collaboration. The numerous organizations that have come up in our country in this field need to work together as much as we can. Collaborations are not very easy. It needs to be nurtured. But working together, if we also have enough resources, this is true. We need to work with the state governments, union territories, individuals, hospitals, whoever is willing to listen. And that's what you are doing with this interview. Thank you for making that happen.
Thank you, sir. It's a privilege for us. And yeah, you rightly said, sir, that if you want to scale it up, we have to have an involvement of every individual of this country and the globe overall, not just the institutions, not just the government, not just the corporate, not just the NGOs. Even as a citizen, we have a responsibility towards it. As a neighbor, as a son, as a daughter, as a friend, we have a huge responsibility of making it a part of our life, and not just part, or making it actually the practice of our life, rather, I should say, in that, right? So thank you so much for giving your time, for enlightening us with the entire cause and what we can do, what is happening, and what is the way forward. It's a wonderful thing, information, knowledge which I got today with you. I would have loved to have more conversation with you, know a little bit more, because I just thought that we were just entering into the entire area of the cause. But nevertheless, I'm sure that we are going to have more conversations, more understanding of the cause, and we will take it forward. It's a wonderful impact conversation for Social Story. And thank you for your time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and namaste.